Welcome back, everybody, to our brand new episode of RT Talk with myself, Michael Cool, and my best friend in the wholest, widest world, you,
Me.
Mr. Doug Kirkwood. Welcome, Doug. You're number 2?
Well, I'm a junior, so I'm number 2.
Oh, yeah, the sequel, second edition.
Yeah.
On this week's episode, we are going to talk about Fiona basically leaving Rooster Teeth. We'll be talking about some, I guess in general, talking about off-topic, being in studio, and then more so some of the backlash they got for that, as well as some of the more fighting that happened with a special guest they had in some videos this week. And then we'll have a quick kind of mention of a new animated show that they are making with some people. So, so I guess we'll just go right into the Fiona leaving stuff. Now, I made sure to actually organize my tabs this time, so I have everything in order of the way I want, or the order I want to talk about it. So, so she put out, this was on March 8th, so this was a little while ago, but this just happened. I think it happened the Monday after we recorded the last episode. I'm pretty sure. Huh?
You recorded.
Or yeah, I guess I did that one by myself. Of course, the thunder trucks are going by the second we start. I think this was like right after the last episode came out, but she put out this. I guess I could read through it because it's a few paragraphs, but it's not that long. But she said on Twitter, she put, "This is an exciting one, guys. I'm finally announcing that I'm going full time as a creative producer at G4 TV. So G4 is making its comeback, and she is on board with them now." She says, "So what does that mean? Well, it means I'll be able to create some new amazing content for everyone, such as comedy, sketches, shows, limited series, etc. This is a pretty huge step for me personally, since this is exactly what I've been wanting to do, which is to create. And as a 24-year-old, this is such an awesome opportunity to help continue growing in that direction." And she said, "Put fun fact, that new Super Smash video on X-Play, I wrote and directed that video. I have not seen anything that G4 has done thus far, but apparently she obviously did that. All I know about the new G4 is they did that reunion special where they had all the hosts from the key shows on G4 Attack of the Show and X-Play, basically, and then they had it with Ron Funches, who's a stand-up comedian, and
Conan's friend.
Yes, he is also friends with Conan.
That's how I know who he is.
But yeah, they did a reunion special kind of thing. It was like comedy bits, and they were talking about like some of their favorite moments. And they announced that Austin Creed was gonna be like the new host of G4, basically. And Austin Creed is the person who slapped Alfredo during Extra Life 2 years ago, and Miles and everything.
The wrestler?
Yeah, he's a huge gamer. So he is. As far as I know, I think he's, like I said, he's just like the general host of G4 now, and it's like they're kind of building back up to, bring back the network, and in whatever capacity it is that they're coming back. I still don't know if it's like an online only thing or if they are going back to network TV. I still don't know, but I do know that's where we got the likes of like Bruce Green and James Willems, I believe, was there too. So it's like there's some connections to Rooster Teeth people, or I guess former Rooster Teeth people. But yeah, there's building back up. I loved G4 I only had G4 for the 7 months I lived in my apartment down near Pittsburgh, and I watched it. And I talked about on Out in the Graves this past week my awful sleep schedule. Yeah. When I woke up from my terrible nap, the repeat from the day before was on, and then I would watch, then I would miss the new episode or something, because I think it was on later at night. But I used to watch it every single day from the day before, because I did not miss it once. I loved that show. Or the Attack of the Show. I don't know if I said G4 Attack of the Show, but the replay of Attack of the Show is what I watched every day. But yeah, so she's moving over to this. But the rest of her statement, she said, "Will you be on camera for G4? I know being a creative producer means less time in front of the camera and more time behind it, which I don't mind. But I do still love to entertain, so yes, there will be an opportunity for me to be on camera as well, which I am also excited to share with you when the time comes. You won't miss me too much, I promise." And she went, "Now the big question, what about Rooster Teeth?" And then when I got to this part, I was like, okay, since she was starting it this way, I was like, okay, I think she's out. She goes, now what about Rooster Teeth? She goes, I just want to start off by saying I would not be here without the help of Rooster Teeth. They go, okay, she's gone. I was like, it's over. I've learned so much, I've grown so much, and I'll be forever grateful for the opportunities RT has given me. And don't worry, you'll still see me in things. I can't just give up on being Agent 1 in RVB0 or being Poe in Gmod. That's basically my personality now. But in all seriousness, things change, and that's okay. Don't be afraid of change, embrace it. G4 TV has given me the opportunity to grow as a creator and learn even more about the film and TV industry. I don't know why she wrote TV/film industry. I read it as film TV industry. I'm almost positive I have dyslexia now, and I'm not like there's so many things I've been messing up in my own life that I'm confident I'm suffering from that. Suffering is a strong word. I'll be able to meet so many cool people, move to LA, which is exciting, and make creative decisions, which is a dream come true. So this is not a goodbye, but this is a new chapter. I'll still be shitposting on Twitter, doing some other very cool projects, and I seriously can't wait for you all to join me on this journey. Thank you for always supporting me and being amazing. I mean this from the bottom of my heart. So, moving to LA, like she said, that if she's going full-time at G4, there's no way she could be full-time at Rooster Teeth Achievement Hunter anymore. Nope. But she's still going to be making appearances in videos. So, I like personally, I wonder how much. I mean, because it's to me, it's kind of like when Bruce left Funhouse, where he said like, I'll pop up in content every now and then. All you have to do is ask, that kind of stuff. He's right down the road. I've not seen him pop up all that much in that amount of time. I kind of feel like that's still going to be the case here, because I just can't imagine moving to a different city and working a full-time job where you're also creating and producing, that you're going to have a lot of time, especially like, at the times that they would be recording and everything.
Right.
To then have that all line up perfectly to then, like, maybe at first, but I just imagine the more time that goes by, the harder that's going to be to kind of sync up and have her in a bunch. I mean, she didn't even say that she was going to be in every single Gmod or anything.
But no, that's impossible. But she'll probably just pop in when she can, which, I mean, it's great. I mean, this is a cool thing for her. I mean, like, she's only 24. She gets to do this huge project. G4 might come back and be bigger than ever.
Which, I don't know how big G4 ever was, but I think
people we talked to, everyone knew what it was and watched it. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I guess in terms of like success, though, I don't know. I'm not sure how. I mean, obviously they went under, so the success died at some point. But
yeah, but I feel like people are on the internet more, or whatever you want to say. Like they'll find this probably easier than 10 years ago.
Oh, 1,000%.
Yeah.
It's going to be way easier to watch it now, especially considering, like I said, I only had the G4 network on the cable provider that I had when I lived in Pittsburgh. That did not exist up where we grew up and everything. So that was the only way to get it, was if you had, the right cable provider, or if you added it on to your channels. But, yeah, it was definitely more difficult to watch then than it would be now, no matter what the format is now. Because I'm sure no matter what their overall plans are, even if they did exactly what they did before and it was on TV, they probably have all kinds of stuff that's going to be going up online that you can just watch. Because I still on Facebook like G4 TV from the time when I lived there. So it's just been inactive for the last 10 years of my life, and now all of a sudden they're starting to post stuff again. So I'm seeing them pop up with the things that they're sharing. I just haven't actually watched any of them yet to know exactly how the whole thing is going to work. But
I would fingers crossed. Code Monkeys reboot.
I forgot about that show.
I loved that show.
That's all I remember from G4 was Attack of the Show, X Play, and there were some other shows in there that I didn't watch. But then they always had the Ninja, or I think it was just Ninja Warrior.
Yeah, I remember that.
And that was the first place I ever saw Ninja Warrior, and then I saw eventually it became American Ninja Warrior, and then Cops came on for some reason. There was reruns of Cops. I'm not even joking. It was always just eventually at a certain point it would just become hours upon hours of Cops, and I don't know why.
That's where your network goes to die, when you're broadcasting Cops from 1992.
Well, apparently those police shows are always super popular, because that live PD I think it's still going now.
I'd assume, yeah.
Well, because I know there was something that they stopped. I don't know if they stopped for a while, but after all the George Floyd stuff happened in Minneapolis, I think there was either a rumor, or maybe it was just false information, but I know that there was something that they either canceled one of them or like they postponed, or so they were talking about their future or whatever. I don't remember what exactly it was, and I never followed up because I don't watch the show. But I do know that Live PD is a very successful like ratings like show because the one time, there's two times I remember looking for ratings. One was when when you and I were talking about the Discovery Channel when Shark Week had Immersion, had Bernie and Gavin and Michael on it, because they were on the subreddit. Someone posted the ratings for it, and Live PD was it was number one without question on that time. And there was something else I looked up it's been a while ago now, but it was a while after that Immersion Discovery Channel, and Live PD was still crushing it. So it's like that show that those. I don't know if Cops is the same thing, but I would assume if 36% of your total broadcast time is devoted to Cops, it's pulling in numbers. Like there's a reason you want to have that many Cops on your network at any given point.
Right. Somebody's watching it.
And apparently G4 TV, which was all gaming and technology type stuff, was very into law enforcement. It was like I think they aired more law enforcement content, and Cheaters was on there too. I forgot about that show. Cheaters would be on there. That's where the guy got stabbed and pushed off the boat.
I remember
or
that.
I don't know if I never actually looked into that, see if that was ever staged or whatever. I never cared that much, but yeah, they would play those ones. But yeah, for the network, they played far greater content that was not gaming or technology related. But yeah, either way, it seems like this is a really good opportunity for her, and like she said, like this is the path she wants to be on. I honestly am not. I was not that surprised when this popped up that she was leaving. Now it could be the fact because, in terms of like I guess I'll say specifically Achievement Hunter personalities, she is. Well, I guess she's the newest one. Yeah, she would be like so she hasn't been there like that long, and I mean she started right around when we started this podcast,
right,
roughly, and so it's like she hasn't been there that long, so maybe it didn't have the same impact as like when, like someone like, or like, I guess I keep going back to Bruce for some reason, but like when Bruce said he was leaving, or, Bernie, like people who have been there for, I mean, Bruce is part of Funhouse from the very beginning, and obviously there was Inside Gaming and all that, but they didn't come until later on of me watching Rooster Teeth stuff. But people that were like there at the beginning, or, have been there for a significant amount of time, seems like it has more of an impact. So maybe, I guess it could be something related to that. But I think just hearing her talk at different points in, like either in tweets and stuff with her, I'm trying to remember what it's called, the movie she was raising money for, the laundromat off of Malibu or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was called, but something like that.
Her and her brother are doing, right?
Yeah. It's like with her doing those types of projects, she's talked about like wanting to progress through, and like she had like certain goals she wanted to hit, and then like directing Dead Little Roosters and everything, in talking about how like that was like her first credit, and it was like, she worked really hard, she was so proud of it. Like it was pretty clear for a lot of the time she was at Achievement Hunter / Rooster Teeth that her trajectory was very clear to her. Like she knew what she wanted, where she was wanting to go. So it wasn't like, when Michael joined Achievement Hunter, it's like, oh, this is a kid from New Jersey that likes to play video games. Right. It was like he wasn't thinking of like trying to progress his like career in TV and film, which happened naturally from being there. I mean, he's a voice actor in a ton of stuff now, but it's like, but still, it's like there's people who kind of landed there and that's where they are, and there's people like her, especially in like this newer, I guess, age of Rooster Teeth, which is very different from like whenever you and I first started watching all their content. Like they're much more of a production company now. So it's like, I guess it definitely is like a stepping stone for some people, or it's going to be. So yeah, I wasn't all that surprised. And I don't know. I'm sure you could probably make a theory or do some speculating that like maybe a lot of the hate and pushback and stuff had some sort of effect on her.
It doesn't help.
I mean, because she said something about like being behind camera. There's all the loud cars go by. They're just I think they were in my driveway. They sound like that was really close. But when she said something about like being, means less time in front of the camera and more time behind it, which I don't mind. It's like I'm sure you could speculate and say that all the fighting and stuff that she's done with people and like all the it's not even backlash. It's just the pure like toxic comments that she's had to deal with since she started.
Right. We've covered it plenty of times.
Yeah, it's not hard to believe that could have had some impact, but I mean she didn't say anything like that, so it's like I said, that's just like wouldn't be. It's not hard to imagine that being part of like it does. I'm sure it made it easier. Put it that way, to be like, oh yeah, this great opportunity comes up and I get to be behind the camera. Like even Alfredo said why he eventually wants to work his way off camera and like not being like on-screen talent. He was talking about on it may have been one of his rants about Ryan or something. I don't remember, but he mentioned about that and not wanting to be in front of the camera because for whatever reason, it's people are. I mean, just the internet, when people are anonymous and when people can make, multiple accounts and just harass things they don't like, they do it. And it's just a black hole for a lot of places of the internet.
Yeah.
It just sucks in all the light and destroys it. That's what it tries to do.
But people love it. They love doing it. And they will never stop.
Yeah. Which is going to get into basically what we're going to be moving into in these next couple topics. Not necessarily the off-topic one, but with Kai getting pushback. But we'll talk about off-topic first, because now that we kind of covered the Fiona part of this. So Kai, as usual, because I'm an old man and I just don't know who anyone is. I'm not familiar with her. I know her right now from Alfredo streams, because when they play Among Us, which Renee actually didn't even watch last week's Among Us, and I don't even know what we're going to get to because it's going to be a busy weekend, but I know she's been on a couple of Alfredo's streams with Among Us. Alfredo tortures her the entire time. It's just he just picks someone and he just basically tries to gaslight them the entire time they're playing. So I know her from that. She's a streamer and everything, but I just don't know like a lot of her history or anything. But she popped up. I think she's been in a couple Rooster Teeth videos, but she was in Gmod this week that went public. I'm not sure when it was on the site or anything, but she was in the video. It was Gmod, as Gmod always is.
You said you were gonna do off topic first, and you went right into this.
Oh, I did say that, didn't I?
Well, you might as well keep going, but I was getting confused. I was like, what is happening?
Oh, yeah, I did mess that up. Oh, because I put my... Damn it. I put my tabs in order, but I didn't actually put them in order. I put them in the wrong order.
All right, well, keep going.
Okay.
For everyone else who was confused like me.
Yeah, my brain's broken. It's not good. Yeah, okay, so this one, I guess, is a transition. Even though I destroyed the transition by saying it won't be a transition, even though it would have been. So talking about, like, them kind of basically fighting with the community, or I don't even know if you want to call it the community, but just fighting with people who have watched or watch or just hate them or whatever. So she was in Gmod, and that was, came out, and she put up a tweet thread of a few things, or not a few things, but a few paragraphs. And she put, to be clear, I read all the comments on videos I'm in. All of them. So if you've shared kind words, I've seen them and love and appreciate you. If you've shared honest criticism, I understand it, we're cool. But if you're just negative, I want to ask, what did you gain from it? Because so far, I've been called a diversity hire, been told my hair is that of a troll doll, been made fun of for my voice, etc. And the crazy thing is, none of this criticism is about my comedic style, just my race and the fact that I'm a woman. So what did you gain? I'm sorry, I'm having to stare into my light to read this, because I actually set up my light. So I'm like squinting and having a hard time reading. And this is small print, so bear with me.
Old man.
She said, I am a proud black woman and I will continue to be that. I will continue to make noise so ignorant people can get used to natural hair and higher pitched voices on screen. Because guess what? Not everyone is a white cisgender male. and everyone deserves to be represented. Final thoughts, I'm not looking for approval. I'm just being me. What you see on screen and online is not a facade. I'm just playing games and enjoying the company of those I've looked up to for so long. The love overpowers the hate, and it means so much because I'm just being me. So, yeah, apparently, which is, again, to the surprise of nobody, again, there was obviously nasty, awful comments, or probably being tweeted at and everything else. Personally, her in the video, I thought she fit in perfectly. They even made a comment how she's watched all of their Gmod videos, so she knew all the roles and was familiar.
Okay, so she played Gmod with them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if you said that or not.
Yeah, she was in this week's Gmod, and it came out and everything. Yeah, so it's like she talked about like how she has been a fan of watching all the videos and everything. So she's like familiar with them and their, I guess, like their energy, whatever you want to call it. And so when she was in the video, I feel like she just kind of like slotted right in. Like she just went right in there. She had different funny moments. Like it was a very natural fit for her to be in the crew, which is not always the case. Even for people who are, even like people who have been there for a while, sometimes they'll pair up two people to make a video, then it just doesn't, there's something that doesn't like click for whatever reason, which I did not think was the case with her. I personally thought that she added to everything that she was in, and like I said, there was a lot of funny moments and everything, and it wasn't like like there was something what Fiona got criticized for at the beginning of her kind of career as Achievement Hunter, was like how she didn't know certain games. Mm-hmm. And so like there was like that, like, oh, what's this or what's that, and like she knew what it was, so she just kind of hit the ground running. So I didn't think there was any problem with anything that happened. Now I have not seen anything that like I've not actually seen what people said before this. All I've seen is what people kind of have quote tweeted, or like, and which I'll get to in a second, but like Fiona, obviously she responded and said, I'm going to have to ask this directly to the Achievement Hunter community to let these people know they are not welcome here. I will not sit by and see someone I care for have to deal with the same shit I did. It takes a fucking toll on your mental health. No more of that shit. Just quote tweeting Kai's tweet, and then same thing with Trevor. He said, I'm so absolutely done with the people in our audience that do nothing but hate. Why stick around? What's the goal? If all you comment is unconstructive hate and tearing down individuals whose goal is simply to entertain and bring light to this world, then leave. Get the fuck out. So, there was a bunch of other ones. Michael kind of did the same thing, just saying, if like that's all you're doing, then you're not welcome here, and to stop. Just cut the shit out, because we don't need you for, if all you're gonna do is leave these terrible comments. And I think for Trevor, for Trevor, someone replied saying, because we are a part of this community long before you, make your own thing. Go away. Make your own things and stop trying to force your way onto ours, or into ours. Just as a real quick. This person is followed by 600 people, which is interesting. But their Twitter profile picture is just a black circle. Their banner is a black banner, just solid black. They apparently they're a fan. I mean, they have a lot of like photos and stuff, but it's to me it's typical. Every time you see someone post something terrible, they're mostly gonna have a cartoon avatar or just a solid black circle. Or right. Whatever. It's like they're always hiding behind something. But Trevor replied to that with, "Nah, son, this is our house. Happy to have people over, but if you don't like the music, the door goes both ways. I value community over most aspects of this business, but this ain't it. We say who belongs and who we are. Side note, Dead Little Roosters is her own thing." So immediately, that's more so, I guess, just a reply to Fiona that Trevor. Well, I guess Fiona replied to Trevor's tweet, and that person replied to that.
I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, it's like the chain. We're getting too many links here, but still, they're standing up for each other. Like I said, there was a few other people that made comments about it and just saying like to get out, but I mean, we're kind of seeing it, not related to the community, but they're sort of doing similar stuff with, because there was that shooting that happened in Georgia at that, whatever the fuck that whole thing was. And they've been sharing and like posting about like different organizations and charities and stuff like that that are supposed to help out like Asian communities. And it's like, even for that, I know I've seen them not necessarily, I mean, I think there's certainly there's some people obviously who are going to make comments that are pretty ignorant or just completely wrong, flat out wrong. But I've seen them kind of having to make statements on that as well. So it's like, we're kind of back in the swing of the, I guess, like racial problems that happened in around, yeah, almost, yeah. I'll say like around like when the Honest Discussion happened, the George Floyd stuff, all the BLM protesting and all that stuff that happened. It's like we're kind of back in the same position we were in a little bit there, because I mean, it's not like it ever goes away, but I think that's kind of is sort of the, it's sort of the ugly side, or like the ugly truth about stuff like this, is that it's not something that goes away easily. It's like, it's not something that, you know, people obviously, when you see someone who's being hated on or attacked based on something as stupid as just like their race or their gender, whatever the fuck it is, when you see something like that, it's enraging, because it just makes no sense. It's so completely ignorant and dumb. You and I have talked about, Renee and I have talked about it. You and I grew up in a very racist part of the world. Yeah. Like, not like, you know, I think when people think of racist America, they think of like, I don't know, the South, like Alabama, Mississippi, the stuff like that. It's not compared to that, but we had a lot of experiences with people who, oh, you're white, so you're our ally, and then just tell us something completely fucked up. And so it's like, we're no strangers to the awfulness and darkness of kind of the human psyche in that way. But I think that's sort of the ugly side of it, is like, you get so angry for people getting attacked for something as dumb as this, but it's also like a powerless thing, because what the hell do you do? How do you stop people from being that ignorant? I have no idea.
Shut them down. Like, you have to tell them, like, hey, what you're saying, you know, isn't cool. I don't appreciate it. I mean, like, yeah, they'll still believe that, but maybe if they can't I don't know if say express it, because I guess they will always express it, but
that's what I mean. It's like, I don't know what the answer is, because putting out statements is like, in this case for Kai and everything, and all that, it's like, I'm not criticizing that decision or anything, because I think they're defending the person, and they're staying like in solidarity and basically trying to avoid a repeat of what happened with Mika and what kind of Fiona went through before there was like that big acknowledgement of not kind of standing up for her, basically. Yeah. So it's like, it's good that they all stand in solidarity and say that we're not for this, so if you believe this, kind of leave. But in real world terms, I just don't know what you can do about it. Like, because yeah, you can block people, you can kick them out of your community or whatever. And that's basically just protecting yourself. I mean, you're just saying, you know, I just don't want it near me, which is fine. Like, I'm not even saying that's a bad thing, but to actually physically stop it, that person is just going to then stay with the same group of people that believe the same thing as them, and they're just going to keep corroborating with each other and sharing their crazy ideas and finding new people, and then using, you know, a group like Achievement Hunter or Rooster Teeth and say, oh yeah, well, they believe this, and it's like, it's just going to create that like greater divide and greater like rivalry there. So it's like, I don't think it's everyone's responsibility to fix everyone else.
No, like, it's on the individual.
It is. So I'm not saying that, like, you know, Trevor or, you know, Michael or Fiona or whoever, I don't say they have a responsibility to take these community members, sit them down and like try to correct them. But to me, it's like, you can do things to protect yourself, but I don't know how you stop it from happening in the future. The same thing with, like, you know, with that shooting in Georgia. It's like there's obviously a race component to it on some level. And it's like the fact that there's been like an uptick in different like racially based Asian crimes in across the U.S. I don't know if it's anywhere else, but living in the U.S., I only hear about the U.S.
Right.
So it's like there's been an uptick for it. So like, I don't know what you can do to like stop, like to slow it down, or because also the bad part of on the internet is there are people, and I know this is going to be hard for some people to wrap their head around. There are people who I don't actually think would, like, if you could actually go through what they believe, I don't know that you would say that they're a racist necessarily, but there are people who will just say the thing that's going to get the biggest response out of somebody.
Yes.
So they will just say something incredibly offensive. My basis for this is, I'm not just like making this up. I know because in the early days of Xbox, people were calling me the N-word. And I'm not saying like it hurt me, because why would that affect me? But it's clear that people are just using it to get reactions out of people. Now, they very well could have been super duper racist, but
Right.
still, it's like there is a group that exists that is just there as a troll to say the worst thing that they can think of to get a reaction out of you. They may not believe it, but they just know you're going to get upset, and that's what they're trying to do. They just want to affect you. That's all they want to do.
But I think everyone knows somebody like that in real life too. Like someone who's just like, come on, man.
Yeah, there's people who throw it around pretty loosely. Like, especially where, like, again, talking about our hometown, they'll just casually say, just, slurs. It's like it's not a big deal. At a gas station, like, not like they're trying to be
I didn't mean
secretive
just,
or anything.
I didn't mean just that, but I mean like somebody who's always, for the sake of the joke, they say the most offensive thing they can, or
Oh yeah, the shocking.
the shock value, the Facebook shit posters who are like trying to actively get banned on Facebook. I don't know why.
Yeah, and it's like, and it's hard to parse through what they actually believe and what they're just saying to get a rise out of people, because they just don't put any value in those words basically that they say. And I don't know, it's like, it's almost like, in that, this is kind of where I sort of go a little bit against the conclusion they came to when they did the honest discussion, because the one thing Jeff said was like the policy basically was to like, don't feed the trolls, don't acknowledge them, just let them just do what they're gonna do. And I mean, kind of like in this case with Kai, I don't think this applies, because again, I like that they stick neck, like they stand together, saying this, if this is what you think, then you're no thanks. We don't need your view, whatever. But I do think that there is a certain aspect where when you do acknowledge people, they know they have access to you. And so when they want to say something outrageous and then you acknowledge it, now they have a connection. Because that's like a story you hear all the time from people who have, hundreds of thousands of millions of followers, is that there's people who will talk shit, and then whenever you acknowledge them, they immediately will then be like, oh, I didn't think you were going to answer. It's like they're just, for whatever that is in psychology that makes people, it's like the negging or something, like say the worst thing so that they actually acknowledge, like they actually will pay attention to you. And it's like, it's a very bizarre way to get attention, but it's one that, I mean, in my life, I've seen it happen on the internet or in just everywhere billions of times. I feel like it happens always. But I do think that there is a certain aspect, like there is a certain advantage to ignoring people who are just trying to be trolls and just be shit posters, basically, because if that's what they're looking for, you take that away by not acknowledging what they say or what they do. Even people who get deleted, they take like pride in that, saying like, oh, such and such blocked me. Because even that is saying, oh, I saw what you said and I didn't like it so much I blocked you. It's like, even that sometimes is what, which is why it's nice that there's certain features where you can just like mute people and they don't know. So it's like you don't see what they say, but they don't know that they've been muted. So like they can just be going off talking in the void. Like, and they don't realize that you've seen it and they don't get what they want. They're just wasting time. So I don't know. It's a complicated subject. It's always going to be a complicated subject. Involving all like race relations in, America, but also in the world, have always been sketchy. And
unfortunately, we don't have a lot to, go off of, like personally.
Oh no, yeah. Well, all the white racism that exists, people coming after us. That's all the persecution.
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah, I guess technically, the Irish have been through some shit times, but
yeah, but
I have no. But that's the ramifications and ripple effects from that do not affect my Irishness. That's so far away from me. The potato famine doesn't exactly still impact my family. And, the Irish being like third class citizens when they first came to America also doesn't affect my family. They kind of turned it around at some point. So it's like, yeah, there's nothing that we have any experience with in this way of just getting constant hate for just basically who you are, essentially. And yeah, we've been ringside for it and seen, like what we said, like people in our hometown that just throw the words around very liberally and just have these conversations about, telling awful jokes and everything else. It's like there's a lot of hate out there, and there's a lot of people who you'd probably be surprised. And maybe that's why too. Like whenever you hear about such and such made a racist comment, and like they dropped like an N-bomb or whatever, mm-hmm. It's like I'm never surprised by it because I think I'm like numb to it. It's like it's like there's probably a lot of people out there that you'd be shocked if you knew them and hung out with them that they said crazy shit like they do. It's like there's several people I know of like that I would be working with, and then all of a sudden they would just throw out the N-word or something. I was like, okay. I was like, where did this come from? Like where's this side of you been this whole time? And then later on they're very, very polite to everyone, and it's like they're very kind. It's just like, I don't know. I think that's why I'm not surprised by that stuff.
Yeah, I don't get it either.
Wait, I definitely don't understand it, but I don't know. It's a huge problem, and I don't know if, I feel like in our lifetime, it's always going to be a problem.
Yes. Unfortunately, yes.
Like maybe far in the future, people will figure it out, and there'll be some kind of understanding, but in our lifetime, I don't see it actually. I'm sure it'll improve, but I don't think it's going to get, it's not going to go away. People are always going to be angry and feel less than, no matter who they are. And that's a lot of where that shit comes from. But yeah, we focus on it a lot because we're from the U.S. So people focus on the U.S. and our history, because obviously there's a lot of stuff in our history that's been pretty sketchy, but it really is a worldwide problem. I mean, it exists everywhere. There's no country or anyone that doesn't have a history of something super racist.
Right.
That's a really, I've been on like a history kick and been listening to different stuff and watching stuff on Netflix, and it's like there almost always there is some sort of racist component to what they're doing. It's this neighboring land, and we think you're less than us, so we're going to invade and kill all your people. And it's just like, okay.
And just take your land because we want it.
Yeah. So it's an issue, but now we can switch gears to something a little more lighthearted, which is coronavirus.
Yeah.
But it's more so, it's not exactly about the disease so much as it is a decision that they made this past week. So this time I actually will transition to talking about off topic, unlike my first attempt at a transition, which failed miserably, and I didn't even realize. That's the worst part is I just kept talking like that I was doing things right.
Yeah.
It's been a long day.
Well, we're almost there.
Okay, I can do this. So at this point now, they've done 2 episodes back in studio of Off Topic. One they just did today as we're recording this, and then obviously last Friday. Last Friday, there was Trevor made a post saying, "Oh shit, we get to film Off Topic in the office this week," and then followed it up with a site post on RT's site, basically detailing how it was all going to work. It's a little lengthy, but basically the gist of it is that they've been wanting to do this for a while. People were saying that it was like a knee-jerk reaction because Texas opened up, so they were like, "Oh, since Texas opened, you're just going to go back into the studio." They said this was planned, or they were talking about this way before there was any kind of indication that Texas would open up. They talked about like wanting to get back in the office and having like this normal like chemistry and like almost reunion type thing.
Yeah.
He talked about how like the differences, the difference would be that they were gonna be socially distanced, which if you've seen the screenshots or the episode or anything. I don't know about today's because I went from work straight to this, but last week's Michael and Lindsay were sitting at like a small table, basically where like their bar table would normally be. It was a smaller table, and then far off to the side was Alfredo with Gabu, and then far off to the other side was Trevor at another like small table. So they were all spaced out. Michael and Lindsay obviously live together, so whatever, if one of them has it, they're both gonna probably get it anyway.
Right.
And he pointed out some stuff like, essentially that this doesn't mean that they're going to be bringing everything back. It's just that they're going to take it slow and just see how this goes. They're following all the guidelines. They're getting tested and everything else. And they talk about how they did the Extra Life and how they did stuff in studio, and they're pretty much following the same stuff that they did there. So naturally, people were upset. There's new comments on here right now. The top one, or not the top one, but the most recent one is someone actually saying they're happy they took steps going back to normal. But there was a lot of people that were saying, like, I don't think this is a good idea. And again, talking about because Texas opened up, you're just saying you have to go back. Like this person's saying, talking about like how they just did an episode. I don't know what that stands for, but they talking about like being safe at home and how it was stupid for Texas to open up and how like the optics of this are bad. Which, by the way, optics is a word that has really taken off in the last couple of years. I only ever heard people use optics when they were talking about like a rifle scope or whatever, because we're in the US of A and there's guns a lot here. And so people are always talking about like the optics. They were referring to a scope, and now it's taken on a new meaning in my lifetime. Or maybe I guess it could have always existed, but people use it pretty abundantly now. It does seem there is a couple more like positive comments in here. Like this one just says, "This is a big miss. I'm extremely disappointed in Rooster Teeth and Achievement Hunter right now. I thought you guys cared. You should know these precautions mean nothing no matter how many times you copy and paste them." This is a weird comment. We still can't see family and loved ones. Filming in person is not essential. Yeah, this is a very weird comment. There's been a lot of big pushback in different ways. Like I said, Trevor put out that like just kind of general, this is what we're doing, this is how we're being safe about it. And then Michael followed it up, and actually he posted like it was a 7-tweet thread. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to read through the whole thing, but he just said, like, he actually says, like, bit of a thread here, but if you've aired your thoughts on Off Topic being in studio tomorrow, then maybe this is worth a read. As stated, after the governor lifted all restrictions in Texas, opened the state 100%, and removed mask mandates, our studio policies have not changed. Some seem to think filming Off Topic this week was a snap decision or in response to anything in Texas being lifted. It is not. The Off Topic recording has been in the planning for a few weeks, following the same guidelines every other show we filmed in the studio has followed. So, and then he actually points out, too, that they've done 3 snack attacks, which were aired live in the same studio as Off Topic, Face Jam van series, which they filmed inside of a van they got for the show. And he said then obviously they shot all of Dead Little Roosters, and they did Extra Life in person. Like, they've done several things in person, which required far more people and required people to be a lot closer together for a longer amount of time. And so it is a little silly to now be upset about them going back to the studio when all of this other stuff that they've done didn't warrant any kind of reaction out of people. Like, I don't know how something like Dead Little Roosters, which they did like their own, they kind of did like, they found a way to make it work in quarantine or like with people at distance, where everyone was kind of in their own room in the show. Mm-hmm. So like only Michael and Lindsay were together in the same room until like the end of it. But so like they found like their own way to work around that. But either still, there's camera people, there's directors, there's like, I don't know how fully staffed they had their behind the scenes people, but typically on like a film set, there's sometimes like tens to hundreds of people depending on the large size of the film. I don't know how Rooster Teeth does it, but I assume there's at least probably like 20, 30 people that are behind the scenes to film something normally. But it's regardless, is like they did that whole series. There was all the writing that they had to do and shooting and all the stuff that had to be done. So the fact that they're doing off topic with like a skeleton crew basically, and they're all staying far apart and they're tested, it's like I don't know what the problem is. Like I don't know. For me, I don't see it. I don't see what the problem is.
Unless people just don't want it to be like everything else they did was like a one-time thing. I'm sure like Dead Little Roosters, they filmed for like, they'll say like a week or two. But like if they're going to go.
Probably much longer than that.
Well, I'm just saying like whatever. Like however long it took. I think people, I guess, aren't ready to see them all in the same rooms, like being safe and everything. And like, I mean, and people are still probably mad because like someone mentioned in one of the comments, like they haven't gone to see their family and friends. So like, it's their own personal anger they're taking out on them.
Oh yeah, there's definitely gonna be a lot of that.
Which I get because like, some people are still like I've heard people like somebody say like it's been a year and they still like we don't leave, like we just order food, order groceries, like we don't leave. I was like, all right.
Yeah, and I think for me you have to kind of realize that is also a decision that you're making. Yes. And the fact that you are deciding to do that does not mean that everyone's going to decide to do that. So, there is, a lot of stuff's being lifted. I mean, even for us here in Pennsylvania, they're increasing the amount of people who can be in indoor spaces. So like, I know like we're not going to get into it, but Doug and I follow our hockey team, the Pittsburgh Penguins, and they're soon going to be upping the amount of people they're allowing in the stadium from like 2,000 people or something like that up to 5,000 now.
Yeah, I think they like doubled it.
Yeah, or maybe it was like 2,700. Yeah, it was pretty close to doubling. So it's like it's 5,000 people together in an arena that all have to stand shoulder to shoulder as they're shuffling out of the building. Like there's gonna be a lot of contact that's happening there now. And I point this out a lot, but we did not get hit with coronavirus the way that like New York City got hit. In fact, I even looked it up just like 2 weeks ago or something. And like our home county had through the entire this last year, from start to finish, they've had a total of 3,000 cases through the full year. So it's like, and you're talking about hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people. So it's like we did not get hit that bad here, and that's good for us. But things are going to be different depending on where you live and everything else like that. But yeah, I just think that just be smart about the way you protect yourself. I mean, yeah, don't go up and take your mask off and hug somebody if you're not wanting to get it. And I've been saying it for a while. I'm not like pushing for them to be back in the office, but I am excited for them to be back in the office because it is different doing over Zoom. I've talked about it 100 times, so I'm not going to get too more detailed than that. But still, I'm excited for the chemistry to be back. I didn't see it, but I was told that they were saying something about maybe trying to do AWU in the office again, and like in some capacity. I don't know if that was true or not, but I do like this idea of trying to, because I said like it's not something that would be hard for them to do. They can easily find a way to shoot stuff in the office if that's what they chose to do. Mm-hmm. They chose to do it in this case, and it's like, yeah, if they have all this stuff being cleaned, sanitized, they're being tested, and they're distanced, and they're wearing masks any other time, it's like, I don't know. We do have to realize coronavirus is a dangerous thing. It's especially dangerous to people with certain conditions and people who are older. But it's not like Ebola that people were just bleeding out violently and dying left and right. Like there has been a lot of people that died, no question. And like there are people that need to be protected. And to me, my biggest fear has always been giving it to someone else. Yep. Because someone who has like some sort of like immune disorder, or like someone who is older or whatever the case would be, because that has been by far the group of people that has suffered the most. So it's like, that's been my biggest fear. So it just seems like we live in a time of complete extremes. Either coronavirus is going to kill everybody or it doesn't exist. And it just seems like every time there's opinions and people get upset, it's in one of those two camps. It's the people who are burning masks in that protest to say we're not going to wear a mask anymore. It's like, cool, you're tough. We get it. And then, or people who are just go way overboard and have not stepped outside their house for the last year. It's like, okay, be smart, don't get close to people. Just kind of, avoid. If you live in the city, it's gonna be way worse for you. It's gonna be way harder. But if you live in our country is mostly rural. We have thousands upon thousands and thousands of miles of rural land that people live on. So it's like if just be smart, don't get close to people. If you feel like you're sick or something like that, don't go near people. If
Right.
you know someone who's sick, don't go near them. Wear your mask, it's like you just follow all the guidelines, and you just kind of keep your distance from people, which honestly is not that hard to keep your distance from strangers for me. I'm not eager to get right up close to people. And things haven't even been open for people to do that anyway. Like the worst spot for us is the grocery store, but everywhere else, it's like we've been out to eat a few times, and you're just sitting at a table that's 15 feet from the other group of people. And
Yeah.
you're just by yourself. So,
Yeah, and I saw because now I think bars are opening. I forget what capacity, like here in PA. And I have a bunch of friends like, "You want to go?" I was like, "No, I'm not there yet."
yeah, and that again, that's if you want to avoid it, you can avoid it. But if someone wanted to go, I just don't. It's like I don't know. I'm just not as eager to like jump on board to like hammer them to say like, "What are you thinking? The coronavirus? Like you're gonna get the coronavirus?" And it's like, yeah, but especially for you, it's different because if you got it and like with your job, you could spread it to a lot of people actually.
Yes.
So it's definitely different for you. But for them, where their only contact with humans is content that they make with other people, and they're being tested all the time. Like if you were getting, you don't get tested all the time, do you?
We get like our temperature checked, and we do like a health screening.
So yeah, but you're not getting like the actual swab to see.
No.
So it's like if you were getting tested like every day for your job, then if you went to the bar, I'd be like, yeah, because if you know you have it, then you can step away. We've had someone where I work, we had someone get it, they got sent away, nothing ever happened. No one else got it.
They never came back.
Yeah, they were dead. We shot them. We just took them out back. We buried them because we just couldn't risk the spread of the contagion. But no, it's like they got it. They were out for a certain amount of time. They tested negative eventually once they were past it. Came back to work. And obviously there's people who have had way worse than that. But I'm just talking about in terms of spreading it.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, if you're getting tested all the time, if in the case with them, if they're getting tested all the time and they're like doing all the steps and stuff, I just don't see if that's what they want to do. I don't know why it is that big of a problem. Because if you walk into a room and everyone tested negative, no one can get it. I mean,
right. Yeah, but I mean, I understand why people were upset because they've sacrificed what they've sacrificed, and like I'm glad everyone's done their part, or at least if you're trying to do your part, awesome, and I appreciate that. But you can't stop a corporation, you can't stop them from shooting something in person because, in theory, they're all safe.
Oh yeah, I would say they are. I mean, I don't know what more you could do to be safe in the same room with somebody. We go grocery shopping all the time, and it's way worse than what they're talking about.
Yeah.
There's people touching everything. There's people wearing their mask below their nose. People are right on top of each other. Everyone's all over everyone. Like it's a nightmare in terms of like social distancing and these safety guidelines that people are supposed to be following. So grocery shopping for me it's like the biggest risk of like getting it essentially because everything else is pretty much, I don't know, it's like safety, like there's safety like measures in place. So like I didn't even get a cold this year. I don't know the last time I don't think I ever went through a winter and didn't get a cold ever. But with everything what we've been doing, I just didn't get it. Which is fine with me. I hate colds, but still. I don't know. I just feel like when you're going through and you're doing all the stuff that you could possibly do to make sure that it's safe and you're tested so you don't have it, I don't see there be like I feel like your risk is so low in that moment. Like, and if that's like what they want to do, then I just don't see it as a bad thing, I guess.
Well, that's fine, but people are always gonna be upset. There's nothing we can do about it. Nothing they can do about it.
No, but it's like then they end up having to like constantly defend themselves from stuff where it's just like they're like I guess what bugs me about it is just like I said, like for like coronavirus, but it's really everything is so extreme, so no one really like takes a moment to say like, well, it's definitely something that I wouldn't do, but if you guys are doing everything that's safe and it's something that you really need to do, then have at it. It's your life, basically. It's the person who has to make the comment of, I'm incredibly disappointed in this company and I can't believe the disgusting actions that you've taken. It's like everything is so, it's like, okay, pump the brakes. If this is how you feel about this subject, wait till something terrible actually happens. How you even describe it? You used all your words on this. Like, you ran out of intense words to describe this thing that would be actually terrible. It's like, how you describe the shooting that happened? Because you went all in on this coronavirus, like, or off topic live thing. It's like, everyone's so extreme all the time. And it's like, oh, will you just take a breath, calm down? And like you said, I know there's people that have taken it incredibly seriously, and then when they see people not doing it, it's kind of like, you're like, you made my, like, what I'm doing irrelevant. It's like, well, I can't help what you chose to do. You're doing what you thought was necessary. I've done everything I thought was necessary for the last year, and now we're going in. And like attaching to this story too is that Michael, because of this, well, I'll just read what he tweeted. I sat on this because it's not something I thought needed to be announced for a multitude of reasons, but now I suppose my point is, don't assume you know. I only speak for myself because everyone has a right to privacy, but I had a fortunate circumstance and I have been vaccinated. So Michael has the vaccine. So one of the 4 people that's there has the vaccine. The second of the 4 people is his wife.
Yeah.
And the other 2 people are sitting far away from them. And even Trevor, like, after Michael tweeted that, he followed up with saying, the fact that we have to open our deeper personal lives to defend ourselves against assumptions and toxic comments is exhausting. Perhaps assume we're not puppets of money or other nefarious motives. Also, there are people now creating narratives of this. Please just chill. So, I'm assuming there's probably people talking about, like, how, oh, Warner Media, because I think someone actually did see a comment about, like, that they felt like trading lives for money was like something that was terrible. And I was like, again, the part that bugs me is the extremeness of that. It's like, okay, let's not act like everyone's going to die just because they did this. It's
right.
Like, we need to, like, actually just realize the coronavirus is what it is and not try to build up to be, look, the news is going to build it up everything way more than it needs to be already. We don't have to do that for them. Just let them handle that. We can just take the information and be cool about it, or at least try to. But personally, I was excited that they were going back. Like I said, they outlined exactly that they were using the same precautions they used for Extra Life, the same stuff that they used, for shooting Dead Little Roosters, all the stuff they've done in person already. I saw no problem with what they were doing. I just, before I even knew Michael was vaccinated, so like that's just an additional layer on me already feeling that way. And it's like, I get that people have been through a lot, and I understand there can also be a personal issue if you had it and it was really bad, or someone who had it and it was bad, or they like, unfortunately, they lost their life or something to it. I completely understand that, but I also understand that that's as sad as and terrible as it is. That's kind of life. Bad things happen when people drive cars, and people are still gonna drive cars.
Yeah,
it's bad things happen when people eat steak. People still gonna eat steak. People have choked and died on steak. It's like, I know we're talking about disease compared to these other things, but my point just being is that bad things are going to happen to people doing the same thing no matter what. It's just, and sometimes you get the unfortunate roll of the dice. There's nothing you can do. That's what life is, and it's sad and it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. I don't know how you can ever get past that. But I don't know. We've had a very inflammatory episode this time, so let's end on something more quick and positive, which is the animated series that they're making. I'll just read the first 2 paragraphs of this. This is on this studio's website, which is Boom Studios. I'm not familiar with them because I live in a closet apparently. But Today, Warner Media's Rooster Teeth Studios announced development on a new animated series for HBO Max titled Slam. Slam is based on the critically acclaimed Boom Studios graphic novels created by Pam Ribon, Ribon, and Veronica Fish. Of course, they keep using. I don't know if it's Ribbon. I'm probably mispronouncing that entirely, and I apologize. But Ribbon will adapt and executive produce the series. Slam will be produced by Rooster Teeth Studios, Boom Studios in Minnow Mountain. Slam is an adult animated half-hour series set in the fast-paced, hard-hitting, super cheeky, all-female world of banked track roller derby, following two young women who have to decide if their budding friendship is stronger than the pull of a team when a win is on the line. The series will be brought to life using a groundbreaking combination of rotoscoped and 3D animation to take viewers into the sport in a way never visualized on screen before. There's more to this article, but from what I have found with a lot of articles, not even just in general, just when, like news articles, is that usually the information you're looking for is about like 4% of that whole article. Yeah. A lot of times they spend a lot of time building context around like who Rooster Teeth is and other stuff they've done and Boom Studio. Like there's a lot of that stuff. So, and something I started doing, I'll be linking this in the episode. So, if you want to read the whole article, you can. But, or I don't even know if you want to call it an article because it's posted on boomstudios.com. So it's more like a press release almost than anything. But
I mean, it sounds like an interesting adult animation, whatever you want to call it, cartoon. I'd be down to watch it. I mean, like roller derby's fascinating. I loved Whiplash. That's what it was called.
The villain from Iron Man 2?
No.
Mickey Rourke? Not Mickey Rourke?
No, not the wrestler.
I'm not sure. I don't think I've ever heard of Whiplash. But do you have HBO Max?
Mm-hmm.
I thought so. So you can actually watch this whenever it comes out.
If I still have it by then, yeah.
Well, I think you will because you're prepared to watch all of the, like, you want to watch King Kong, Godzilla, and I feel like there's going to be a lot of movies that are coming out that you want to watch that'll be going on there.
Yeah,
so
I can't wait.
You'll hang on to it.
The Snyder Cut, which I have no interest in.
Yeah, which is out now, apparently. You just have to sit through a 4-hour marathon. Be really committed to DC. But, yeah, that's all I had in terms of topics for this episode. There was... I kind of was cruising through, and there's other stuff that I knew that we could get into, but I felt like we had, and we did end up having, but we had 3 subjects that were going to be lengthy and discussion worthy, so I just stuck with a shorter list for this one, especially after last week where I had nothing but issues and I was by myself.
Right. Yeah, everything that I thought you were going to talk about, you had written down. Everything that I saw that happened.
Well, and some stuff is, I mean, it's basically just been sitting, like I had most of this list already put together until, for like basically this whole week. So I was basically prepped for a while, and I should have done some pre-work since I knew what I was going to be talking about. But yeah, that's all we have for now. So as we always do, we thank you for watching this or listening to this if you're watching this on YouTube or if you've listened to us in the many places that this podcast is available. We will be back on Wednesday. I always want to say Tuesday because we record on Tuesday, but we'll be back on Wednesday for Out in the Grapes, and in another 2 weeks for another RT Talk. So until then, like the podcast, subscribe to the channel, share it, rate the podcast, wherever, all that stuff that people do or people ask you to do in every video and podcast.
Everything you get harped on, do for the little guy.
Yeah, and I almost feel like there's too many of them now. It's like liking and rating and reviewing, and there's like a bell, and there's all kinds of stuff. And they all affect like how your podcast is found and shared and everything else. So you have to ask people to do so much more now. But if you do choose to do that, that helps us tremendously. So you one of the real ones if that's the case. But until next week, or I guess not next week, but Wednesday, we will talk to you later. So goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.